What up, Sports Nation? How
What
are you
up?
guys doing out there? If you don't know Coach Brandon Wallace, boy, let me tell you, you should and you need to. Coach, how are you, sir?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about it.
You know it. Hey, for me, this is an absolute honor, and I want to thank you for being on it. So I kind of want to jump in. You ready?
Let's do it.
Sure.
I like to talk mindset with my coaches. For you, you have such a history of being such a phenomenal coach that I've always wondered what your first step on getting ball players in the right direction is for you.
Well, for me, doing this for a while now, I just look at ball players and I start with basically I want them to see if they have good work ethic, meaning they're having fun on the field, they're taking care of their teammates, they're trying to make their teammates a little bit better. Once we get them in our program and we've had, multiple phone conversations, I've seen them, I've done my background checks on them. I just like to see where their character is, and then if I feel their character matches up with our core values, our staff's core values, our program's core values, we go into the mental part of it, picking kids out that love what they love doing, meaning, they're there before practice, maybe they're there after practice, they're asking for help, they're asking questions, they're asking to send videos and breakdowns. Those to me are all good signs that they're going to be ready for the mental game, if that makes sense, so that's pretty much where we're at with that. That's what I look for kids. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, Chris, but yeah, that's where we're at with that.
No, that's perfect because that gets me into another different type of mindset. You talked about character, and we're hearing more and more coaches bring up how they want to know about the character of these young ball players. And, they can see them hit 10,000 bombs, field a ground ball, catch a ball, dive, and all that kind of good stuff. But truly knowing what their character is huge. Now, with your program, you talked about core values. How important are those core values to bring that player into to your organization or to your team, I should say?
Well, like I said, core values is just being a good person, respecting the game, respecting others around you. I always talk about, self-taught behavior. What's your family like? How do you respect your parents? Do the parents have the same balance and respect you? Those are all core values to me. And when I look in the kids, and sometimes when I'm out there, I get coaches all the time like, oh, they'd be good for your program. Well, what does that look like for them? Because it's going to look different for me, So that's just a little touch on that, Chris.
No, I love it.
And I want to piggyback on that because I was just at a football game 2 weeks ago and there's a kid down injured. He's actually got a cramp and nobody's helping this kid on his team. And the other team guy goes and starts, helping the kid out. Well, come to find out, this kid's got a full ride to Oregon State University. And I'm like, there's a big reason why that, besides the fact he's a hell of an athlete, the character of that kid was big. And that Oregon State's getting a hell of a player. So that's kind of things you're looking for, right?
Absolutely. I'm always one of those where do unto others as they would do unto you. You know what I mean? You go in with that mindset. You lead by that as well, and I think you'll get the right kids, the right student athletes that will want to come play for you. You know what I mean? Now, I always say, guys, I'm sorry if I don't have a filter sometimes, but I always say it's not always rainbows and Skittles. You're going to come across those kids that you thought you did a good job recruiting. You go by their high school coaches, their travel ball coaches that tell you they're great, they come from a great family. Then as soon as they get in that program where they're competing against 25, 30 student athletes, they realize they're not the best anymore. Well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to tuck your tail, you're going to run from it, or you're going to buckle down and get the work in, you know what I mean, that you're supposed to do, and then be consistent, be consistent on the field, at practices, at scrimmages, so that way you can earn that trust of your coaching staff, you know what I mean? So I think we learn every year. I know I have. I learned last year was a big, as long as I've been doing this, last year, I must say, I learned a lot. I learned a lot and thought I was doing a great job in recruiting. And, fortunately in any program, you make a hiccup, you know what I mean? But you bounce back from it, you learn, and you move forward, you know what I mean? So I'm actually ready this year. I think we've been doing some good things after transitioning over to Laverne University. I'm going to bring in a great recruiting class next year.
That's great.
Yeah, well, like I said, I have mad respect for you. So we'll just stay there. Just your name alone, period. Just I sit there, my ears perk up and go, okay, yeah, he's there now. Oh man, this place is going to be phenomenal. But anyway, sorry, I know I'm having a Farleyism. Leave me alone. Don't go there.
Good, Chris. A lot of that lately. Everybody's like, man, Wallace over at Laverne now. I thought he was over there, So we're excited, man. We're excited over at Laverne to do some big things this coming up season.
Awesome. I love it. You brought up recruiting and the parents. We like to talk recruiting when we talk coaches, mindset recruiting as well. Sorry, I can't spit this out quite as easy as I want to, but recruiting the family is just as big as recruiting the player. And God, I have a question here, and I'm sorry, I'm so excited right now that I can't spit it out.
Well, let me jump in.
Help me out here.
I'll fork it off so I don't steal his question, but
he knows
this is something he does like to talk about, but it helps me with my question. Chris likes to bring up about how do you make the uncomfortable comfortable? And I was starting to think back like the movie Miracle, like how he challenged the guys, again, and do the until they said I'm on Team USA instead of I'm from, this college or that college and stuff. And also the thought of like, there was a quarterback in the NFL and they didn't think he was going home and watching tape. So they gave him a blank tape. And then he said, oh, I learned this and this and this. And it was just a blank tape. How often are you actually challenge them not necessarily like trying to get them, but making it uncomfortable so that it becomes comfortable?
You're talking about how do I challenge what a recruit or prospect?
Felt like you needed to challenge a kid uncomfortably in that way or any other way to help make something more comfortable or to find out if this is really the kid that's for you guys?
Well, real quick, before I forget, you guys are talking about some of the great movies. I always live by Hoosiers. You ever watch that movie Hoosiers with Gene Hackman?
Right.
I take a lot of that stuff from when I was a kid watching that, and I make players make it if they're going to do a movie night, I try to talk about, challenge them a little bit. So I'm going to have them watch the movie Hoosiers and write something that they've got from it because when he went in there, he went gun blazing and the whole town didn't understand what he was doing. And I know sometimes it gets used up a little bit, but is pretty much trusting the process, right? Trusting there was a way that he could get out of his players. And it took a minute for them to understand that, to see that, right? But it's kind of the same thing with prospects, just trying to make them comfortable. And like you said, uncomfortable. I like to, we do current videos, I like them to send me current videos of if they're struggling, makes sense. If I just don't want like a fancy that you're doing good game footage. I want to see your struggles, and sometimes they're like, are you serious? I said, very serious. Let me see you go 0 for 3, and then what they don't understand is sometimes I watch their body language, in the video. Instead of watching their mechanics, I'm really watching how they're going back. Did they walk past that kid that was on deck because they were upset? Or they're in their mindset, they're thinking that I'm trying to break down their posture and their mechanics, So there's other things I see, and that also helps me, guys, to see if they're going to be a right fit for us, or are they willing to learn from that, as well. So I don't know, once again, guys, if I'm answering the way you want me to answer.
No, that's beautiful.
Exactly what I was looking for. You got yourself together?
I think so, but I'm going to go away from that recruiting because I couldn't spit it out. So I'm just I had squirreled. Anyway, so Coach Wallace, you learned a lot over the few years that you've been coaching. What would you tell yourself 20 years ago that you've learned from today?
20 years ago to where I am now?
There's a lot in there.
What's the 2 things for you that are high up there that you would want to tell yourself?
I would say not to hold on to things for so long and how to let things go.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Look,
quick little history, guys. I'll be honest with you. For me, there's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of great coaches, a lot of mentors I've looked at. I've listened to workshops, especially at the NFCA conventions. Just amazing coaches out there. But I don't know everybody's life, right? So their path that they took. But for me, I grew up in 8 foster homes, and I thought I was going to be a social worker one day because I wanted to reach out to kids, right? And for me, I became a coach. God put me in a place where this is what I'm doing. This is my own social work, I guess. So everything that I talk about in team, when I'm out there with the team or I'm bringing prospects on or just in general with other coaches, it's for me, it's real, man. It's not fairy tale. It's things that I've struggled with as an adult, as a coach, you learn, So I think from where I started, being too hyped, too loud, too much micromanaging, to where I'm at now, it's not, some people say, players that have played for me in the past, they say that I'm soft. No, I think I've just grown as an individual, and I'm very vulnerable, and I can admit that. You know what I mean? So I've learned a lot over the years, and I think it's made me who I am now. And I think back then, I'm like, my poor kid who's now currently still playing over at Cal State San Bernardino as a junior, I can imagine what her life was like. But I'm enjoying it. I've learned, guys. I've learned a lot, and I guess I'm a little bit more calmer, but meaning my expectations are still high. I just know how to go about things and with a balance, if that makes sense.
I agree. A more efficient way, right?
More efficient way.
Oh,
Finding ways to with these student athletes instead of like harping down on them, right? So.
No, exactly. I love it. I think it's great. Sometimes, you got to play good cop, bad cop sometimes. And sometimes you can't always be the bad cop, right?
Right. Exactly.
You can't.
I got to ask the question.
Ask it. Do it.
I love asking superstitions. I've been finding that coaches have more superstitions than the athletes. And it's because they believe, especially in softball and baseball, that you don't mess with a good thing. You don't mess with a streak. I've heard coaches that have kicked kids off of a bus because they weren't eating the same breakfast that they had the day before and came on the bus late and told them to get off the bus, go get those Rice Krispie treats or whatever the heck they were, or Fruit Loops, was it? And you need to be 5 minutes late because you don't mess with a streak. I want to hear from you some of your fun little, don't mess with the streak or don't mess with something good stories.
Well, my thing is this. I've had times where I was in a rush the day, the day before, say we're playing a doubleheader on a Friday and we did well. And then Saturday's coming. I realized I didn't eat breakfast. I realized that I forgot to put creamer in my coffee. I know that sounds like crazy, but I went right back to that. I said, okay, this is going to be gross. Black coffee it's going to be. I'm not going to have breakfast. And let me tell you, some of the places that we got to stay on the road, you didn't want to miss breakfast, but you do what you have to do, right? And so those are just little things that I know it sounds crazy, but there could be a time if we're on a winning streak, I realize that in the mornings I didn't have breakfast, so I won't have breakfast. Sometimes I line up bats in a certain way, and I'm like, dude, is it because the way we lined up the bats? You know what I mean? So, yeah, nobody really knows that. So now everybody's going to see that. They're going to probably think I'm nuts on this, but yeah, those are just little things that I've done, for superstition, so.
I love it. I love it.
It's true. It always happens in baseball. And the coaches are the best at it.
Oh, God, yeah. Some of the ones that we've heard have been phenomenal, I got to tell you.
I mean, we know about the line. You don't touch the line coming on and all. We know those things.
Yeah. Don't walk across the stepped on it. Oh, my gosh. Your hands go over your forehead, So, but no, that's the one thing for me. And everybody knows, man, I love food, man. I love it. So for me to sacrifice breakfast, man, that's saying a lot,
Right. I hear you.
All right, go back to it. I had fun.
So I like to ask coaches this question. How do you handle, or not handle, but coach to the have to, want to of your players?
Chris, can you say that again in the beginning? The sounds echoing.
No, not a problem. How do you coach to the have to and the want to of players?
Well, it's very simple. I tell kids all the time, if you truly care right here, you're going to do it on your own. This shouldn't be really coached. I mean, I tell everybody, it's like me. What I put in is what we're going to get. So I try to lead by example, and for me, I really stand by that, guys. That value is, if you truly care about something enough, you're going to do it. You're going to get it done. You're going to find a way. So that's something that I preach all the time, especially in fall, our first team orientation meeting. Boom, we lay it right on the table, no holding back.
Nice.
You were talking about this year's recruits, right? Coming in for this next season and all that stuff. Or are you talking about in the future? Are you talking about this season that you were excited
No,
about?
first year. So I'm talking about when I'm going out there this last month, trying to bring to Laverne what I was bringing over at Cal State San Bernardino. My last program was at, fighters, grinders, relentless, having that approach, that attitude, taking John Wooden's pyramid of success and trying to implement that, in the program, moving forward where I'm at now. And so, yeah, I had 2 recruits this morning that I did a visit with, and we would have not even had them on campus if we didn't have some of the type of phone conversations that we had, talking about getting that grind, showing up or being, staying a little bit later. And some of these 2 athletes that I'm looking at now, they do part-time jobs, they do community service. So that to me is a great thing, right? It's an eye test, that where they're going to come in and fit in for next fall. So yeah, so for any viewers that are watching this, that's what we're looking for. Those are the type of student athletes that we want.
What's beautiful about that answer is we're really on a kick about learning from greatness.
Yeah.
It's one of Kobe Bryant's big thing. It's a big coaching thing we're starting to develop. But you took it a little bit further.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. He was talking about the dog and the fight in a player, and from John Wooden, which is learning from greatness. But then he added the character back into it.
Yes.
Where they're volunteering, they're working a second job, and there's more to them than just what meets the eye.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking for, though. So thanks. That's a great answer.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with one of the best we've had.
Right.
It could
that
be up
answer
there.
was perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
You guys are too nice, man. There's
We
some great.
worked with quite a few people. It's
Don't
nice
tell anybody that. That's our secret.
It's nice
okay?
to see that, Yeah, go for
There's
it.
something I wanted to bring up because after you talked about Hoosiers, something popped in my head that I haven't done in a while.
He was Big Sock?
When I was head coach, I used to have my players go and look up the Hakka.
Oh.
And I wouldn't tell them that what it was. I just told them to go look it up and come back to me the next day with something written, what it meant to you. And like usual, half the players would do it, half wouldn't. The players that did it always seemed to thrive, though, after they did it. Because to me, the Hakka is togetherness and power throughout. And it allows each player to have their own mindset, but understand that there's a team dynamic behind it. And so watching that's kind of one of my things that I used to love to do when I was a head coach. And when you said Hoosiers, it started bringing those things up. I retired from coaching. I'm not sure if you know that or not, but just when you said that and I started thinking about it, I started getting the fire going. And then you brought up being the bulldog out there and fighting. And it's like, I'm starting to get all excited and pumped again. And sorry.
What's the question?
You might have to get back in, Chris. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
He's got a pretty
I watch a lot of your guys' shows, man, and I tell you what, you guys are great. You guys pump me up, and I really appreciate you guys having me on here and doing this, man. But yeah, I got to tell you, man, Hoosiers is a great movie, and it's something that I strive to be like the Gene Hackman in that movie, and who knows, maybe one day I'll have my own program, but right now I'm still learning from the best out there, and I'm going to keep learning and keep doing what I'm doing and keep contributing whatever staff that has me, join their staff. I love this game. I love working with athletes. I love working with other coaches. I love working in the travel ball industry as well. And so this is awesome, man. So Chris, yeah, man, you pump me up, dude. You should get back into coaching, man.
I'm one day, maybe.
Hey, I got one more question because his what he's been saying just leads into this. You're talking about being excited about building something and changing Laverne. Is that the most exciting position to be in? Is to be able to change a program, or would you prefer to just be at the elite and they're just being handed top players I mean, there's great coaches and they get top players, but you're in a position to actually change a program. Is that your favorite place to be?
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so glad you asked that. I love being the underdog. And you know what? That's where we go back to me being unfortunately, I had to go through some foster homes at a very young age. And it started like that, man. I was an underdog. I fought a lot of wars to get to where I'm at. So those are some of the things that when I'm on staff somewhere, we take that. I lead by example. I lead the charge in any way I can. And there are even in travel ball, man. When I used to compete with my team, I won't say any names, but there's some big names out there that wear across their chest. We didn't back down from them. We'd have the best of the best schools watching that team, and excuse my verbiage, but we come in there and punch them right in the mouth. Let them know, like, hey, Callie's is here. Callie's Wallace, or could have been if I was coaching American Athletics Wallace, or wherever. And we didn't back down from anybody. It's the same thing with when I was over at Cal State San Bernardino, man. It's like we used to say, hey, we're from the Dino, man. We're gonna come out swinging, and we're gonna represent, and we're gonna get that bread, And just like now we're at Laverne, they've had a history of winning, but they haven't been there in a while. Let's put it that way. But I love bringing that excitement. I look for the challenge. I'm hoping that I can give the energy and the fight, to the rest of our staff and to our players this year. And we can turn it around. We can turn things around and get University of Laverne softball back on the radar where it once was,
If you're an athlete watching this and you're considering where to go and you hear that from a coach, I mean, I'd run to that school.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want.
Absolutely.
I want a coach who totally believes that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay, guys, I'll leave you with this. I'm telling you, anybody can go to a school that has multiple, championships and they walk around with their head high in their chest. But, man, anybody can go there. But if we can start to develop where we get that athlete that gives us an opportunity, that athlete that gives us another opportunity, that athlete, and just believe in what we're trying to do, we're gonna make a run at it. And I just hope that you guys enjoy this next coming up season and the following season, and just watch what the transition that we're gonna do to get back to that title shot again.
You know what? We do a thing now every week. It's called the Playmakers.
Yes.
And so we feature across the country people that are just making plays. They're doing it.
I love it.
I want to see some of your kids on that Playmakers.
Absolutely.
I want to see those kids make it happen.
I'm letting everybody know we're coming,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Send me a video. I'll put it up, Coach.
That's right.
Let's go, baby. Let's
start
get it.
featuring some kids
I love
that are doing amazing things.
Hey.
We got to say bread, though, Chris. You guys got to say we got to get that bread. That's it. That's what we say.
All right. I like it. Get the bread. Let's go. Right now.
Well, I know he's got to go. He's got another meeting to go to, and I just appreciate your time.
Coach Wallace, thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Anytime, my brothers. I appreciate you guys. Thanks again for having me on here, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Be safe out there, huh?
Right on. What up?
What up from all of us here at What Up Sports Nation? To all of you, have a great day and a better tomorrow. Bye, folks.